Hello and welcome to this training call on creating a compelling vision and asking for help. It's perfect in so many ways how this call came up. I originally scheduled this call, I believe, before the vision and the download came for the 100 Women of Vision project that is now being created. Or maybe it was all around the same time. It's hard to remember looking back. As well, just yesterday, I had another download that will take all of this to the next level, which is why today is more of a training call than a clearing call, although there will be time for clearing at the end. There's so much to cover in this call, which is why I decided to make it more of a training call format rather than a back and forth, because there's so many rabbit holes that we can go down and they're all very valuable. But for this, I want to give you some clear direction or directives, some clear homework, some actions that you can take and things that you can do so that you can re-listen to this call as many times as you need to really get it down in your bones. This is also the beginning of kind of a new signature method that I'm creating called the A.S.K method, which of course is going to get a fancier name as it goes and grows. But for now, that is the name of that method, and we'll be covering that on this call. We're also going to be covering vision. How do you have a bold and compelling vision that people really want to get into and jump on board with? And then, what isn't a vision? What are not compelling visions? As well, how do you start communicating that vision without getting too rigid in your communication structure? So there are many, many ways and many great books and many great trainings to help you to craft your message and branding and marketing. And those are all really good. I very much encourage them. Especially, there's a great one called Brand Script, Brand Story. Story Brand is the company, and they have the Brand Script method or approach. I love it. I listen to it all the time. Excellent resource. But where I'm going to start you with are some simpler, more direct ways to begin creating and then refining your own message before you start to apply a more complex framework. Then we're going to go into the A.S.K method. We're also going to get into a few personality types that will help you to clarify all this, mostly your own personality type and how you can best bring that personality to this whole process. So it's not only the process of getting inspired and creating the vision, or you already have a vision in mind. It's also the process of how do you start to communicate that, and then how do you start asking for help with that, or how do you ask for the sale if you're in business, and this is related to business, which for almost everyone it will be. The other important point to make before we jump into the vision part is, for any business owner that's listening to this, this is your invitation to elevate your goals above goals and turn them into visions. So by that I mean, instead of having the goal to sign 10 new clients, what if you had a vision to empower, insert ideal client description here, so empower women in their 50s who are redefining their life after divorce to clearly know who they are, what they want, and go on a vacation. That's just a random example I'm making up. But if it became a vision or a mission, which those are slightly different things, but if it became a vision or a mission, one, you're going to be far more inspired to take action, and two, people are really going to want to jump in and join along, instead of when it's just a sale for a product or a service. That's also important, but it's not the same as inviting someone into a vision. And as you create a vision and inspire others into that vision, you will make sales. It's a natural bonus. Okay. All the other usual components apply to this call. So when energy shifts and moves, I will yawn. You will hear it. There's already some yawns beginning, which is why I thought to bring it up, because although I'm not doing any specific belief clearings, we are clearing energy. As we get inspired, even more inspired, as we create visions and start to communicate them, it brings up our stuff. So as I'm going through this framework and these methodologies, please write down any of your questions, any of your fears, hesitations, doubts, or anything that rears its ugly head. And then we'll do a bit of clearing at the end. That will also be a huge support for me as this methodology and framework goes and grows, because I will see at which points do the sticky bits come up, at which points do people get stuck and need deeper support. So that would be a huge service to me and everyone who's going to be hearing this in the future as well. So the vision, what is a vision? Well, a vision is bold. There are a number of components, and I'm sure we could talk just about this piece for a long, long time, but the ones we're going to cover are: vision is bold. It takes a stand. It stands for something. It calls for something that isn't yet, but could or should be. A vision isn't, I'm signing 10 new clients. That's a goal, which is great. A vision is, I have a dream. It's one of the most popular and best examples of a vision. It calls for something that isn't yet. Next, a vision can be contrary. A vision, and I think this is contrary to popular belief or popular opinion. A vision is not, I see a world where everyone gets along, or world peace. World peace is actually not a vision. World peace will actually piss off a lot of people if it was achieved, because most of the world is addicted to trauma and drama. So you'd be pissing off the people that really want the trauma and drama if you accomplished your vision of world peace and everyone getting along. So a vision actually has, or is contrary. It stirs up what is not yet that you believe or dream should be, which is an affront to those who love it just the way that it is. So vision is inspiring, yes. It calls people to be greater, yes, but it can create conflict, which is why it's so important to be doing the clearing work, the energy clearing work, the belief clearing work, so that you stay clear within yourself and are not coming from ego or judgment as you take a contrary stand. Vision is free of judgment, but it's a fine line. So vision can edge on judgment. You're calling others out on their stuff. You're calling yourself out on your stuff with love and compassion. You're pointing out what's missing. If you're not clear within yourself, this will become a judgment. It'll be self-righteous. It'll be arrogant. You must continue to become clear and spiritually aligned within yourself if you seek to inspire others to a vision that comes to life. So we all know this, the arrogance that comes from people who have a vision or a dream and don't know how to communicate that in a way that is free of judgment, or at least, minimal on the judgment. So that's our spiritual path. If we're going to be visionaries or develop visions, we have a harder job, because we don't get to just say, I believe that, let's take current COVID example. Let's say you're on the side of, I believe that businesses should open again, and you've got that vision. But if you're coming from judgment about it, you're going to just piss everybody off, and we're not going to make progress. Now, if you're doing your own work within yourself and getting clear within yourself, and then that is your vision, and that's what you're inviting people to, you'll find creative ways. You'll hear people out. You'll listen. You'll be engaged. You won't detach. So it's very important that we, as the spiritual visionaries, continue to address our own judgments and our own lack of clarity internally. And the last point for vision to keep inspiring you, and please be writing down ideas. What is your vision? What is your vision in your business? What is your vision for your life? What is your vision for the world? Using these points as inspiration points or jumping off points, because I want you to be creating and crafting. What is your vision? What do you see as possible for other people and the world? What do you see as possible in your business? What's the higher calling of your business? Okay, I sell insurance. What's the higher calling there? Well, of course there's a higher calling there. What does it bring to people in their life when they buy that insurance? What's the world that you're helping to create as you sell that insurance? If it's energy healing, you probably already have a pretty good sense of the vision that you want to see come forward. And your job might be to not judge people that don't see the same vision as you. So I want you to be writing down, as well as your questions or complaints or fears or doubts that come up as we cover each of these pieces. So the last piece for this vision part is, vision isn't a plan. We've all heard that before. Simon Sinek, start with why, etc. And those are, I think, totally true. But the piece that I feel that they're missing is, all of us who don't like plans, I know that's me, I took that to mean, I don't need a plan. Because vision isn't a plan. Vision isn't how. Martin Luther King didn't say, I have a plan. He said, I have a dream. Yes. But here's the key piece that I think many are missing. Vision isn't a plan, but it creates space for a plan to emerge. And I think that's a really key distinction. You do need a plan. Like, you can't just have a vision and expect it's just going to pop into reality. I don't think. You do need a plan at some point. So you having a very clear vision that's free of judgment and is an inspiration for others to step into creates the space for a plan to emerge, either directly downloaded to you from spirit, which I've been experiencing lately with this 100 Women of Vision project. I'm getting, like, every day I get one more piece and then one more piece. It's been, in a way, infuriating because I love to know everything, but I'm getting one little bit at a time, and I'm just told to trust that the plan's coming, and it is actually coming together beautifully. So it could happen that way. It could also happen that you create the space for a planner to emerge. So if we take an example from one of my favorite movies, Batman, we'll take the newer version of Batman. Gotham City being in such disarray and all the evil and all the horrible things happening actually created a space for Batman to come forth. You look at most, Marvel movies and DC comic movies, it's the same thing. The evil creates the space for the good, and you could say vice versa. So having a vision allows the plan or the planner to emerge. So your job is to craft the vision, hold the faith, and allow the plan or the planner to emerge. And by hold the faith, I don't mean sit passively and say, I have faith, I have faith. Although if that's your mantra and that works for you, that's great. What I mean by actively hold the faith is prayer, meditation, walking in the woods, writing down the ideas that come, reaching out to the people that you're inspired to reach out to. Like, you're taking action, you're in action, but it's action in faith, it's inspired action. So again, be writing down the ideas. What's the vision for your business? What's the vision for the world? What's the vision you want to invite others into? And it may be contrary. It may piss some people off. I have a very different opinion about what's happening with COVID than many people do. That's okay. I'm allowed to have a vision. I'm allowed to inspire others into that vision and to find the common ground. We may disagree on the details. That's okay. We can find common ground as we move towards a vision. Now, next, how do we begin to communicate that vision? So we don't want to jump straight from the brainstorming and the ideas. And this first part of the call, you may listen to a lot and then continue to write down your vision and write it down. It might take a week or a month. It doesn't matter how long. And then the next piece is this, which is, how do you begin to communicate that? How do you begin to clarify your thoughts about it? How do you begin to put the pieces together instead of jumping from, okay, I've got an idea of what I think my vision might be. And then, okay, here's this 12-step framework of exactly how to communicate that and all the things that I need. Great, you will get there. But there's an in-between step. There's probably a few. So I give you this next piece so that you can move towards that. And it's these 4 pieces. It's actually really 3, and then I added a 4th, and I stole this from someone else. So the first is, what breaks your heart? It breaks my heart when parents don't know that the solution to their child not sleeping is a book away. And that book is called The Happiest Baby on the Block. And if you just read that book and do what it says, you will save your life and maybe your marriage. It breaks my heart that more parents don't realize that so many of the answers they need are just a book away. That's not anything to do with my business. That's just my personal life, but that breaks my heart. Next question. So, bring that into your business and the vision that you're creating. For the actual vision for the 100 Women of Vision project, what breaks my heart is when women don't feel safe or empowered or able to ask for what they want, especially money and especially in business, because they're afraid they're going to be attacked or judged. It breaks my heart. It also breaks my heart that so many women have a divide in their spirituality, a divide with God because of their upbringing and the influence of certain Christian values that have been misapplied, or Western values about it. It's better to give than to receive, so don't you dare receive. And then they're afraid to receive and make money. And meanwhile, all these unscrupulous businesses are making lots of money because they're willing to receive. And all these women that are trying to be spiritual or have or come from a faith background are not receiving because of mixed messages. And that breaks my heart. So number one, what breaks your heart? Number two, what pisses you off? It pisses me off that parents are willfully ignorant and just go with the flow of what their parents said, which is, oh, well, I didn't have a book, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That pisses me off. Open your eyes. Do a Google search. Just have faith and be willing to check out one book. It might save your life. Who knows? It pisses me off that that men have created this patriarchal society where women are not safe to ask for what they want and where they feel inappropriate to ask for money. It also pisses me off that lots of women tear a strip off of or tear down other women who are expanding and growing and asking and learning to ask. And that there are also a lot of women, it also pisses me off personally, that a lot of women will tear down men who are trying to create a better business world that works for everyone, because you're not a man. You're not the minority. Who do you think you are to even try to like talk about this? You have no right to talk about it. So sure, the man's doing it imperfectly, but he gets taken down a peg just for even trying. That pisses me off. Number three, what is the big problem that you're working to solve? So in the first example, the big problem I'm working to solve is I want every parent to know that most of what ails you as a new parent is a book away. It's the big problem I'm trying to solve, is the unwillingness to read a book as a parent. And there's lots of great reasons why they're not willing to read a book. I understand. I was there and there. And that's the big problem I'm working to solve. With the 100 Women Vision, the big problem I'm working to solve is I want women to be able to ask, women, especially women in business, to be empowered to ask. And so I'm creating systems and structures and procedures and energy clearings so that they can ask and feel great about it and receive what they want. Now, what was funny is as I started getting clear on these three pieces weeks ago, the ask method, my signature ask method, did not exist yet. And then in the vacuum that was created through crafting and speaking this vision, that download came. The resources showed up as if by magic. The people started showing up as if by magic. When you have a vision and you create that vision, and you start sharing that vision, the resources show up by magic. It is amazing. If you keep taking action, if you stay in faith and keep stepping out of judgment. So that's how you begin to communicate the vision. Now, what I did for about a week, maybe even two, because I'm a very auditory person, I went for a walk every morning. I talked to God. And on my phone, I made little recordings, little audio recordings, and I just spoke this out loud. And I muffed it up a bunch of times. And I would just hit record and I'd say, what breaks my heart, because it was pretty easy to remember. What breaks my heart, what pisses me off, and the big problem I'm working to solve. So I would just run through those and say whatever was on my heart. And then I made the recording, and then eventually I got to one where I was like, that one, transcribed it, and it became the beginning of communicating this message. So the homework you could do around this is go for a walk every morning and speak what's on your heart and see what you take note of. Or do some journaling every day and write it down. Or speak with a new friend or colleague every day and just express this to them the best you can and see what gets clarified in that communication. A few other keys worth mentioning is as you start creating this vision, some things that will make it extra juicy, but it's outside of the scope of this call, are things like imagery. We're going to put a man on the moon by this date. That's an image. You can see a little man on a moon. Any imagery that you can have for your vision is so good. It's something that my vision is currently lacking, and I'll be looking for what images to put in. Stories, anywhere that you can incorporate stories. Well, even if people don't relate to the story, just having a story automatically increases your influence. for the 100 Women of Vision project, the little story about growing up with a mom who basically sacrificed her life for my brother and I, and never really learned how to ask for what she wanted or needed, and that I don't want women to have to live that life. It's a little tiny mini story, but automatically it connects people to the vision, even though it's just a tiny little snippet of a story. And then also, of course, I don't mean to be manipulative, but a grown man with a daughter of his own talking about his mom and not wanting other women to go down the same road just automatically tugs heartstrings. And that's okay. Be willing to tug on heartstrings when you share your vision. Manipulation's not always a bad thing. When Jesus came to, I guess it was Peter, and said, forgive me, you drop your nets and come with me. Sure, I'm sure someone on the call could correct me if they wanted to, but we'll do that later. You can correct me later because we're recording. But that's manipulation. You come with me right now, and by his presence and his being, that's a manipulation. And it was a beautiful manipulation. It's okay to manipulate, again, if you are energetically clear, constantly looking at your own ego and your own judgments, and being as clear as you can be. The only other one that I'll mention right now is make it personal and vulnerable. If you are making your vision, if your vision is vulnerable, you can't manipulate in a negative way. You can't tell stories in a manipulative way or use imagery. But as soon as you are no longer willing to be vulnerable, even great stories and imagery get contrived really quickly. And we can all feel that instantly. Doesn't matter how good of an actor someone is, you're like, ooh, you're talking about your mom on purpose because you know that that's going to get me. And I do not appreciate that because that person is no longer being vulnerable. Okay. I want to just get a head nod from the people that are here. Are you with me so far? Are we tracking along? Okay, great. Because I know this is a very different format from how we normally do calls. And again, keep writing down your questions. Keep writing down any stuff that comes up, any doubts or fears or moments where you say, oh, but what about me? Or every time I try to do that, write that down and we'll do some clearing. Next piece. Oh, a great way to communicate all of this is just the before and after story. And I like to think of Disney. Disney does this so well. And it's so relatable, especially because there will be lots of parents listening to this. So Disney movies always start with the song of, this is the way things are. Been noticing this more and more with a 3-year-old daughter. So little town full of little people waking up to say, everyone's stuck in their ways in this quaint little town, but she's better than that. She has a dream of under the sea, down where it's wetter, ain't life is better. Under the sea, don't got the shore, they work all day. It's all about this is great, stay here, don't go anywhere. This is great right here, don't move. Even Lion King, just can't wait to be king. And then the bird is constantly saying, no, you don't get it. The way it is, because it is this is the way it is, and it's good and it's safe. Don't jump outside the status quo. So that lays the scene of where things are currently at. So you can do the same thing. So you lay the foundation, lay the scene of for me, so many parents are exhausted. They need a good night's sleep and they don't believe it's possible to have a simple solution that's scientifically based that would actually work. They don't even believe it's possible. They're exhausted. They can't even think about looking into a resource. That's the scene. Or you can even make a visual scene of just a parent falling asleep over their coffee. Enough said. For the 100 Women of Vision, the scene is, women are afraid to ask. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of reprisal. They're afraid of that it's not appropriate for them to ask for money, especially money, and especially in business. That's pretty much it. Second scene, then the hero or the heroine fights against the status quo. They say, but if we keep doing this, going in this direction, I'll just die. Think of Moana. The island was dying, the coconuts are drying up, the fish are dying, the fish are nowhere to be found. And she could see that if they kept going that direction, they wouldn't make it. So the leader has the vision of what the future will be like if they stay that course. Little Mermaid, she was a little bit more selfishly driven. That's okay. But she was saying, but Dad, they're up there and we could meet them and interact. And he said, no, we got to stay down here where it's safe. So the next is if we continue in this direction, this is how it's going to go. So if women continue to be afraid and not feel empowered to ask for money, our business world is going to stay the same. It's going to continue being dominated by control and masculine ideals without connection and relationship. And we're all going to suffer. That's the future. Third step. Next, there's the new magical future that is possible. It's the promise. Think of Ariel, but Daddy, we shouldn't be afraid of the land people, or Simba, but Zazu, we should be able to explore beyond where the light touches. It's the promise. It's the out there. It's the, Jesus is, I'll be giving an example of Jesus that kind of pulls us all together as well. Literally, like in the Christian faith, it's the promise. Heaven. You get heaven. You get perfection. That's the future that's possible. Okay, cool. So that's the promise. So for these women, as they learn to and be empowered to ask, because they clear the beliefs and step out of the stories, and they're empowered to ask for money and for what they want, their lives are going to change. They're going to heal the divide with God, clear the stories of the patriarchy and the systems that don't work anymore, and they're going to help to usher in a new era of business, one that's based on relationship, and one that's based in compassion and love, and one that works for everybody, not just a few. That was the most clear I've ever said that, so I'm going to have to come back to minute number 30 and write that down. And this is how it happens. You just keep practicing and keep sharing and keep practicing, and and then you'll hear it when you say it. Great, or someone else will say, "Oh, that was good. I hope you write that down." So be listening energetically for those click moments when they come, because they will. The more you speak it, and the more you're willing to be vulnerable. And the fourth piece of this part is clear and compelling action. So, this is the way it is, and if we keep going this way, it's going to go this way. And but what's possible, what the promise is this. So to get there, I need you, Triton, to stop being a jerk and let me go talk to the people. To get there, Zazu, I need you to let me and Nala run to the edge of the borderlands to see what's there. There's always a clear and compelling action or request. In Moana, so I'm going to go out to sea and find the answer. I'm going to go explore. So Dad, I just need you to let me go and go find the answer, because I know that I can. So there's always some clear and compelling action that's going to move the story forward. So in my project, it is, so if you are a woman in business and you're tired of not being empowered, not feeling empowered and safe to ask for what you want, to ask for more money, of having a business that's smaller than you'd like, I would love for you to come to the 100 Women of Vision project, have a free session with me, and bust that all up, and then show up to the summit day where we're going to have amazing speakers who are going to share about money management and business strategy and all these great things, so that you can ask for what you want and feel good about it, as well as healing the divide with God, so that you can have a stronger spiritual faith and make money in a vision-led business. There's my clear action. Or it is become an ambassador and invite 10 other women, or it is become a collaborator and a speaker on the summit day, or it is whatever the action is. But when it comes on the heels of everything else we've just laid down, now your action's not, do you want to buy my stuff? Now it is like, here's this whole big world and I just laid out everything in its book. So would you like to come? And we're going to get into specifically asking in a minute. But can I just, to get some head nods or some no's, can you see the difference that it would make for your requests if just any of that was in place before you made your request? Okay, cool. Cool. So one more example to hopefully drive this home. And again, I'm a novice at the Bible. I do have a loving relationship with Jesus, not technically Christian. So my Bible knowledge is shaky. So give me some grace on this one, but I thought it was a pretty good example. So for Jesus, step one, everyone's fighting. Sons are left to bear the weight of their father's sins for generations to come. The judgment is killing us. If we continue like this hatred, this belief that you can't have a personal relationship with God, that it's not healthy, it's not helping, all this fighting and lack of forgiveness, it's killing the people. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. So the promise, if you forgive, if you find God in your own heart, if you stop seeking outside yourself, you will reach heaven, like the best promise ever, like literally the promise. That's the future that's possible. And so the action is to accept Christ into your heart as a clear sign that you're forgiving all grudges and hate. So in the Christian faith, there's your clear, compelling action. Get baptized. Boom. It's even got an image, getting your head dunked in water. So there's a clear and compelling ask. Come to church. Accept this prayer. Like, if you look at the church, it's kind of great. They're a great model because they have clear requests. Come to church. Accept the prayer. Get baptized. They've been working on the system for 2,000 years. So they've got their stuff together. Love the church, hate the church, I don't care. They've got their stuff together in that way. Okay. So now, how to ask, the ask method, the signature ask method. And of course it is, A.S.K. So each one stands for something. And this was the download I got yesterday. So all of this has been coming together, all these pieces, everything I've shared with you so far is how I've been communicating in my business and in my projects and vision for a while now. And then this is, although the structure of it is brand new, again, I've been doing this for years now, especially when we get to the first A in how to ask, you're going to see like that this is all of the work that I've been doing with you for the past 4 years. It's all encapsulated in that. And now the rest of it gives you some structure so you can be more directly making requests. So how not to ask. The first A would stand for arrogant versus apathetic. If you arrogantly ask as if you already know the answer, you should buy my stuff because I know that it's awesome. Yeah. You should stop wearing a mask because it's wrong, COVID related. It's just not going to go very well. Even if you've done all this other stuff really well, it would soften the blow of the arrogance, but still arrogance just isn't going to work. Now it might strong arm someone for a minute, but then they're going to have buyer's remorse or, having come alongside of your vision remorse, and they're going to be kind of pissed that they let themselves be duped. And we've all done that where we get super inspired for a moment and then we think back on it later and we realize, oh, actually, I said yes to the action, but I wasn't really aligned. I just love their passion, but I wasn't actually aligned. So everything I've shared so far, you're inviting people into a vision, but they don't have to say yes. They could be super inspired and at the end say, I love what you're doing. It's amazing. And I'm a total no. It's just not aligned for me. And it'll feel amazing. When someone says no from that space, it'll feel amazing. I promise. It'll blow your mind. And then you can say, great, is there anyone else that you can think of who you think would be on board with this? And then you'll be pleasantly surprised because they'll say, oh my God, yeah, Tommy and Jerry and Susan. And they'll give you 5 names because you did your communication job right. So it's arrogant versus apathetic. So the apathetic is you've given up. You're not really believing in it. You're just kind of flopping the dead fish out there and seeing if they take it. The S would be significant. This is the best thing you'll ever buy. If you don't buy my product or service, your life will never be as good. And this is where religion goes off the rails too. If someone believes that Christ is the only path to God and you have to accept Christ into your heart, that's okay. But if they get significant about it with you, you have to come to church this Sunday or you're going to hell, I'm willing to bet, especially this day and age, 9 out of 10 people, if not 10 out of 10 people will say, yeah, okay, thanks, bye, I gotta go. The other S with this that is actually on the positive side, but I haven't fitted into the framework yet, is substance. So it's significance versus substance. When you're significant about something, no one wants to hear what you're talking about. This is we'll get super political. Joaquin Phoenix, when he accepted his Oscar for Joker, and he gave his whole 10-minute speech about, I even forget what it was about. It was so self-righteous and so just him using a platform. Now, I remember at the time agreeing with what he said empirically, whatever he was saying and whatever mission he was talking about, but he was so significant and self-righteous about it. He was arrogant and he was significant. And so no one, and there was no clear, compelling action to take. There was no, it was just bad communication. Now, juxtapose that with substance. When the Dalai Lama says, or speaks, we listen. When Mother Teresa spoke, we listened. There are lots of people who, when they speak, we listen because they're coming from substance, which is never dramatic. They could be saying very dramatic things, but they are not dramatic. They might be passionate, but they're not dramatic. And so we listen because they have substance. Substance speaks, significance screams. So whenever you're communicating with someone and and you feel like you're being yelled at, it's because they're being significant. So those are the people I never say yes to. Okay. Next, the K, kick ass versus kick over. Both aren't great. If you're kick ass and you're saying, we're doing this, we're going, you want to come with us, you should come with us, it's happening, get on the party train. I'm like, eh. If they're also a kick over or push over and they're saying, oh, well, it's okay, it's going to happen either way. You could get involved in the vision or not. It's cool. Either way, it's great. Love to have you, but no big deal if you're not able to. It's okay. That's also going to fall flat. Okay, so in just a minute, we're gonna get into how to ask and how to do this effectively. But before that, I want to mention personality types. Now, this is a personality profile that I heard years and years ago, and it stuck with me. I really like it. It's super simple. It's not about, this is the only way to type people. It has nothing to do with that. It's to make a point. So I just want to share really quickly, there's 4 personality types in this system, and they're each a color. So red is like the business super go-getter. You tell them to show up for a 10-hour sales training and they're there 2 hours early and ready to go. And you can imagine they've got a big red button on their forehead that says, bet me I can't do it. This is like Tony Robbins, Donald Trump, even Richard Branson in a way, but he's also another one as well. And we all know reds. And reds are great when they're energetically and spiritually aligned. They move mountains and we love them. And they can go off the rails with ego just like anyone can. Blues, social, they want to have fun. So that's Richard Branson as well. He's like a blue-red because he loves having fun, but he's also Mr. Business. So he does a great job of doing both. But blues just want to have fun. So if you say, we're going to do a sales training at the beach while we play volleyball, they'll be there in a heartbeat. So you got to incorporate fun for the blues. Yellows are the heart on their sleeve. The joke here in Canada that I make is, you tell them that the baby seals, the hairless baby seals in Alberta need sweaters knitted. They won't even fact check that Alberta is landlocked, has no access to the ocean. They'll just start knitting sweaters. So we love these people as well. They also can move mountains when they're energetically aligned. When they're in ego, it's coming from fixing or trying to save people. When they're aligned, they can really inspire us to get in touch with our emotions and the world that we want to see. The last one is green, which is data analytics. A lot of people will default to green through a need for safety, but most people, as far as I can tell from the people that I meet in life and in my business, not that many greens in the world, like people that are truly analytical people this way. So often in a sales interaction, when someone says, well, show me the data, show me the stats, what they're really saying is, you haven't touched my heart. I'm not convinced. They're saying a lot of other things. They might be green, but not likely. And that's just from my personal experience. So the reason I bring that up is because if you are not doing this next piece that I'm going to talk about every day, every week with me on your own, in your own spiritual practice, then you're going to default to your personality type. It's going to trigger the other person's personality type. And you ain't going nowhere unless you both happen to be the exact same personality type and you hit them at the right time of day, et cetera, et cetera. The chances of that, not very good. If you do what this next piece that I'm going to talk about, if you do that consistently, you will step out of the whole paradigm of personality types and everything, and you as a personality will cease to exist, and it will just be about the vision and the request and what is of the highest and best service for everyone involved. When you do this next piece. If you miss this next piece, everything that I've shared about today not only falls apart, it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. If you don't do this next part, everything I've shared just becomes a tool in your arsenal to go be more self-righteous and judgmental and to tell people what to do and to say that you know the answers and no one else does and how dare they and all. It just becomes a weapon for evil. So would you like to know what the next piece is? Okay, cool. Alignment. Energetic alignment. Spiritual alignment. It's the first A in how to actually ask, the positive way to ask. That's why I said these last 4 years in my business, this is the only piece I've been doing with people. I haven't been talking about all the other parts of vision and how to make a proper ask and all of that. Although I used to do that as a trainer, a leadership trainer and consultant in the past, but now I focus entirely on alignment and clarity because it's most of the battle. If you are aligned and you don't know any of these other pieces, you'll get way more yeses than someone who knows all these strategy pieces and is not aligned. It's so crucial, so crucial. So when you're in alignment, you are identifying the beliefs that you have and clearing them. You are pulling energy, which I talk about in many other calls. Energy pulling is such a brilliant way to stay in alignment and out of ego. We don't have time to go into it here. If you're constantly doing the "you're right, I'm wrong" process, when you get really attuned within yourself and you can tell, oh, I just went into judgment, and you can identify the belief and destroy the belief. All of these pieces are about being in alignment within yourself, being clear within yourself, energetic clarity, spiritual clarity. So that's the internal part. And the biggest part of that I do in all my private sessions with any client that signs up is we identify, where are you lying to yourself? Where are you energetically misaligned? Where do you say you want clients, but really you just want to be right? Where you say you want clients, but really you just want to fix people? Where you say you want a bigger business, but really you're afraid of what people might say? Or you say you want to have a vision that supports the world, but really you don't think you're good enough? What's the really? How do you finish that sentence? And that is the key to alignment. When you are aware of those and you're clearing those and you're shifting out of those, you can be in alignment. The other part of alignment is knowing if you're in alignment with the other person, knowing if that's even the appropriate person for you to be speaking with. And again, that's outside of the scope of this call, because that takes doing the first part of alignment within yourself internally, but then also giving you specific tools to be able to check in energetically with that other person before you even get on the phone or even ask them to get on the phone, and to check in energetically, what's between you two? Is there anything between you two already that you need to clear or step out of? And how do you clear that energy? And then how do you determine if you really are in alignment, if you are a fit? Knowing your ideal client profile, if it's a sales conversation, would be really key for this. That's all about alignment. So that's most of the work. If you don't have alignment, the rest falls apart. Now, if you do have alignment internally and externally, then the S stands for soft success. And this is all about not asking from a place of need. You're asking from the space of, this is already done. The project is a success, and I'd love for you to come. This was a key that I learned, and a secret that I learned in fundraising when I used to train Lynn Twist. There are two different Lyns in my life. They're both amazing. I forget now which one is which. Lynn Twist. I think it's Lynn Twist. Lynn McTaggart does the intention work. Lynn Twist does the fundraising. And she talked about no one wants to join the losing team. Oh, if you please, maybe have $1. If you just have $1, I'd love for you to give $1. Meh. We are 50% of the way there. We've got 2 weeks left. We're totally going to make it. I'd love for you to jump on and be part of this because our vision is this. I'm inspired about this. And I think you have the same vision. Would you like to be part of it? Way better response rate. The K, it's soft success, emphasis on the soft, because if you're in a sales conversation, you're not saying, I've got 100 clients that have all had perfect results and you're going to be 101. I guarantee it. I promise. I actually won't sign up with that business coach. I know that that's the way you're quote unquote supposed to do it and have that ironclad guarantee, and that bravado and arrogance turns me right off. I don't care what your stats are. I don't care what your stats are. I'm not signing up for that. Now, if they had slightly different energy about that and said, I've had 100 clients with 100% success rate. I would love for you to be 101. I think this is a really good fit, Wil. What do you think? Do you think we're a really good fit? Probably say yes. I would love to work with you. So it's soft success. And the K stands for kindness. No matter what they say, to be kind to them, and more importantly, yourself. If you heap on shame and guilt of how you should have asked or what you should have done, you will never ask for a sale again. You'll never share the vision again. You won't want to communicate with anyone again, because you got to get over the wet blanket of shame and guilt first. So a key to effective asking is kindness, and that you will learn, and that there's a million fish in the sea, and there's always someone else to ask. So that is how you do the ask. Now, 2 quick things that I want to cover before I open up the mic and let each of you ask a question or share your concerns or your doubts or your fears, or any of those moments that came up where you said, oh, but every time I try to do that, this, or I'm afraid that if I do that, this. So 2 more, here are key mistakes when it comes to asking for the sale specifically. First one is, you don't have yourself settled on how good or effective your product or service is, also known as imposter syndrome. If you've got that going on, it is so hard to ask for the sale or to ask someone to join your vision and to do it effectively. So if you have that going on, as I develop this webinar format more, this is where my sale is going to come in. Basically, hire me so we can do that work together. But I'm not there yet, so we're just going to have to leave that one blank. But that is where you do the work with me privately, in private sessions or in a package. We go to town and we clear that. I'm going to give you a specific action you can do, not a clearing, but an action. But if you're not settled on on how good or effective your product or service is, it all gets really difficult. So your homework for that, to give you something to play with, go and get 10 testimonials. 10 clients who you have specific before and after testimonials, post them on your wall, read them every day until you've convinced your subconscious mind that what you do works. You may not be perfect, you may not be the best, but at least convinced that what you do works. The other key part of this is, if you are not settled on yourself and how good or effective your work is, and you have testimonials or you know people get good results, that means you're still making it about you. So either your work works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, go back to the drawing board and get better at your work. Plain. If it does work, but you still have imposter syndrome, or you're still afraid of if you're good enough, you're making it all about you. You know, a pen either writes or it doesn't write. It doesn't matter what your opinion of it is. It does the job or not. Enough said. And the second part is that it's okay if they say yes or no. So if you are not okay with the no, don't go into that conversation. You're attached. Abort. And that's another big mistake that a lot of people make, is they go into a conversation knowing that they're not aligned and then beating themselves up afterwards that the person didn't say yes. Like, you knew before you got on the phone that they weren't aligned. Why'd you do it? Probably for an excuse to feel bad. So stop. So go back to the K with the kindness. Stop making excuses to feel bad. Okay. So I want to open it up for anyone who would like to jump up. You can also type in the chat box and share any of the questions that you have, or look back in your notes and say, oh, I could never say that. I could never share the vision like that. So I'm going to open up the floor for each of you to share if you have any questions. And if not, we'll just end a few minutes early. I know it's a lot of information, so in future formats of this, I may pause throughout the content and allow people to type in at the time. Don said, this is wonderful. Thanks. I have to hop off because I have another class starting in 5. Okay, great. Thank you, Don. Thanks for being here. Let me know what vision you create and send it to me in an email. I'd love to hear. Veronica asked, should we journal daily the answers to these questions? Yeah, whichever part you're most inspired about, especially or what I found personally the most valuable is daily looking at, what pisses me, what breaks my heart, what pisses me off, and what is the solution I'm working towards. That's a great one to journal on. The next piece about like the Disney example of like, this is how things are, this is how it's going to go, etc. That I might wait until you've compiled a bit more of your ideas and you chat with people and you've shared kind of what breaks your heart, what pisses you off. And then that's where you get a little bit more structured in the communication. That would be my suggestion. How do we check ourselves that we are specific and clear on the answers of pisses off and heartbreak so as not to overthink? Well, basically, if you can say any of them in one, two, or three sentences, then you're being pretty clear. Now, at first, it's okay to ramble. It's all good. Like, you get passionate. Something pisses you off, you get passionate. Something breaks your heart, you get passionate. That's great. Keep practicing and keep getting it down to until you can get it down to 1, 2, or 3 sentences. It's a good place to start. Okay, one more question we'll have time for. Last chance for anyone else. Okay, well, if anything pops up, you're all in the accelerator group. This video will be posted, or the audio, maybe we'll post the video, will be posted in the group so that you can review as well and watch it again. I have a feeling this will be the kind of thing that you might want to watch or listen to a few times, or listen to it in the car while your subconscious mind can be like just thinking about it all and getting some ideas down. And so on that post in the Facebook group, you can comment with any questions or anything that comes up. And especially any of those doubts or fears or places where you would say, oh, I can't say that, or oh, I don't want to say that, or oh, that doesn't feel safe. Please let me know and I can jump in and support. Okay, have an amazing day. Have the best day you can. And I will talk to each one of you soon, sure. Bye-bye for now.